again with Danny Thompson, none other than your favorite beat writer, your favorite journalist, and I used to know you when you were just a blogger. So it seemed like so many moons ago, Danny.
It's always a pleasure, Ted. When you get the bat signal to come on Late Night Parents, you got to jump on and do it.
Big shout out to Pablo. Pablo, what's going on? Thank you
Pablo.
For all your support and everything that you have done to help us make this transition to HAP so much better. We won't be on here long. Really quick, 2 questions for you, Danny, and really a bonus one. We'll go with the elephant in the room. NBA games are being postponed or shut down. I don't know. It's like my Twitter feed is going crazy from Shams and Woj and Chris Haynes and Mark Stein. Houston, do we have a problem?
Well, let's see. It's a problem right now. I know the NBA has put some new protocols in place. Protocols that I thought that should have been in place in the first place. Guys not supposed to leave and deliveries and, cutting down how many people you're supposed to be able to see and on the roads and everything else. So the rules I thought were in place, I guess now being implemented. But Ted, as a person like you've watched COVID and you've seen the numbers and you study, in your background, I think CNN is probably still on your background, MSNBC or whatever news outlet you're watching. Like most of the country knows that January and February is the worst time for COVID.
Correct.
That's the time where it's supposed to spike the most. And ironically, that's the part of the year where the NBA decided to start. I mean, I hate to say it, Ted. I think it might be one of the biggest mishaps Adam Silver's had as commissioner because of the fact that they didn't want to go into another season more likely playing in the summertime. They wanted to have as close to a normal season next year as possible. So you're pushing that envelope for Christmas Day. I mean, it kind of happens that way. I don't know if Houston, we have a problem, but we have 6 games canceled. That's bad enough right now. So, but they planned for it, though. It wasn't like the NBA did not plan for it.
Right. I want to let you know one of your faves, Mike Patton, is in the room. He said, I knew Danny from 123 Street. And also he says he believes that the rules are being pressed more. Now
they had to shut it down.
But I'm it's different from when you're in bubble world. When you're in bubble world, you're going from point A to point B. Whatever family members are there, they're there, and they can't leave. Whereas, Danny, I can go from Long Island, I can drive to Barclays, handle my practice, come back for the game, and then the rest of that time is mine until the next day for practice. And I can land wherever I want to land.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the problem. I mean,
here's the thing, and the thing with people who are not professional athletes will say this: oh, they make millions of dollars, they do this, and they say should stay at home. Ted, we work. We're regular working folks. If your employer tells you need to stay at home, you need to do X, Y, and Z. You can't leave the house. You can't do this. You can't do that.
Correct.
You go look at them crazy. So
Correct.
It doesn't matter how much money you're making. They're human beings like everybody else. Yes, their tax bracket is a lot higher, and yes, they bring home. And if you look at Kyrie Irving's check, for example, or even Stephen Curry's check, his game check is probably more than 95% of Americans make in an entire year. I get it, but they're people just like everybody else. So forcing them to stay at home and only be able to go to practice and go home for games, and then you can't just quarantine that player. You have to quarantine in some cases their entire family. Not everybody in the league is single with no kids. You have guys who are married. You have guys who have girlfriends. You're telling them also they can't leave either. So I get it. And Ted, the NBA, the players didn't want to go to a bubble. They didn't want to do bubble land again. They didn't want to do it. And we saw the hesitation last time around, but it worked. The only way, Ted, it's hard because you're forcing people to stay in one area, Ted. You're going to have to make it so that the families have to be involved in this somehow. Okay, we're not going to get multiple teams in one city. That's not going to work. Okay.
Okay.
It's just not because the owners want to be able to have arenas. You want people to have something in these home arenas, okay? Because not only with games not being played, the players are going through. What about all the people that work at the arenas? You have the security, you have you have X, Y, and Z, the game day people, the people that set up the building, the announcers. You have so many people that are affected by games not being played. Okay.
Hey, Danny, I got to jump in here and say I tend to agree with Mike Patton. You want the check or not are his thoughts, and also mine. I mean, if I'm on the hook, just like you said, we get paid what we get paid for our 9 to 5. If we don't follow the rules or the protocols, then we're out.
Yeah, I get it. But remember, and Ted, your case, you're married. You have two great kids in your house, and Ted, for you have to, deal with school. You have to deal with X. You have to go to the grocery store. You have to do this. You have to do Y. So Ted, what they're saying is you can't leave the house. Your wife can't leave the house. Your kids can't leave the house. So remember, it's just not you being involved in this. It's everybody in your bubble that's involved in this as well too. I'm not saying that Mike's opinion is wrong. Yeah, you want the check or not. You got to do what you got to do. But just think about this as being basically a captive prisoner in your own home. Most of these guys don't have millionaire mansions. A lot of these guys live in apartments. They live they live in high-rise apartments. They don't have these 7-figure big houses. And Mike said it's really on how you interpret it. I get what people are saying, but just think about it if it was you in their shoes. If you were in their shoes.
Well, you got it. I mean, and that's a loaded question because if I'm in their shoes, then I'm getting paid $40 million a year.
But just think about this. Just think about this.
I'm going to have a team. Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying. I mean, just think about it as a personal aspect. Don't think about the bank account. Don't think about the check that's involved in it. Just think about you as a person, and that's how I'm thinking about it. Okay, yeah. For me, if I'm making $20 million a year, all right. Listen,
life is going to be a lot different.
We're going to be Amazoning it up for everything. Okay, DoorDash. There was a tweet today, Ted, that I want to say it was Keith Smith that posted it. Said that that Uber drivers, DoorDash folks are going to make a killing with the new protocols here and there.
Yeah. So, you know what I think also is also what doesn't help. What doesn't help is the fact that, every other day we're either hearing from, Dr. Fauci or our local governor or our local mayor, and the CDC is what was 14 days became 10 days, became 7 days. And we're, collectively we're seeing now averaging 3,000 people, but there's been several occasions over the past 7 to 10 days, there's been 4,000 people that have died. We'll get back to that. We'll touch upon that on another occasion because I know you're short for time. Second question. In the role of expansion, we're hearing Seattle, we're hearing a couple places. Right now, I want you are officially the commish. You are the successor to Adam Silver.
All right.
Tell me the 2 locations that you would definitely go to, and if one of the locations had to be relocation, tell me that reason and why.
All right, so we're choosing 2 brand new expansion teams. As we know, Seattle gets 1. All right. I think in any circumstances, you got to put Seattle in a location. On top of giving Seattle their team back, you would talk to the owners of Oklahoma City to give the Sonics their history back as well too. You give everything back, give them all back. The same way Charlotte had to get it back when they got the Hornets, the Bobcats to rebrand into the Hornets. You got to give Seattle their history back. There's no way. All right, that's one.
Okay.
The second city is the hard part because when you look at the different places around the league, my first thought, I'm always big on markets. I'm always big on size. So to me, my first choice is Baltimore. But
no,
you already know Baltimore's the
Baltimore, really?
Baltimore's the 7th largest city in the country as far as media market goes.
I'm just thinking. No, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, that's fine. But I think Baltimore because of the market. But realistically, I think if you put the second team anywhere, I'm going to go Midwest, and I'm going to say Kansas City slightly ahead of St. Louis, only because Kansas City's arena is completely ready right now. The Sprint Center is ready now.
The Sporting, they play there. They've been playing there for how many years?
I mean, Kansas has been playing there for they play a couple games a year. It's NBA ready. It's gorgeous. It's ready to go. I don't see the NBA being in Las Vegas because they spend the whole month of July in Las Vegas for Summer League.
Okay.
You know, everybody goes to Vegas for Summer League. The NBA owners like going out there. It's nice and sunny. Don't ruin, the entire year of sending guys to Vegas. So I think it's Kansas City, Seattle. And if any team has to be relocated, I would say, I don't want to say this, but I think Minnesota is the one that's got to get relocated if anybody's getting relocated. I don't want to say it, but I think Minneapolis is the one that gets relocated because of the fact of Minnesota is one of two teams that are on the market to be sold right now. And they don't have an ownership group. Glenn Taylor's trying to sell this team. And I think if you move them, I would say, listen, Nashville's a great option. Tampa's a great option to look into. Or Ted, that'd be the team that would go east. I think if Minnesota moves, if it's not Nashville, it'll be someplace east. Tampa's auditioning with the Raptors right now. Or Ted, you could say Pittsburgh or Louisville. But I guess if I had to move one, I would say Minnesota, but I think expansion-wise, Kansas City and Seattle are my two expansion.
I've never factored in Baltimore as being an option.
I mean, Ted, when you look at it, Ted, you got to think Baltimore is a large city. I mean, Ted, look at the media market of Baltimore. It's arguably the biggest market in the NBA, I think, without a team. Size-wise, media market, everything else in between. That's where I'm thinking, like I said, the size, but with DC, with the Wizards and with the Sixers going to kibosh it immediately because of distance.
That's what I was thinking.
So I'm saying if
it's going to eat into their market.
With the kiboshing, that's also the reason why I didn't say Tampa as well, too, because Orlando would kibosh it in a moment. Like I said, I see Mike saying they got an arena in Nashville. I think Nashville's a relocation site. I think if Minnesota can't get it together, they can't get an ownership group to buy that team. If I'm a primary investor in Nashville, I would literally go get the funds, get the team, and get them out of Minnesota.
Okay,
there you go. Because I don't know if the NBA wants to expand as an expansion team there. I don't think they want to give Seattle a relocated team. I think if you're going to give them one, and you don't give them the Thunder back, you go brand new. You just give them the same way. Just give them a brand new team.
But you could, if you think about it, you could go 1-1, right? One expansion, one relocation.
No, because
that would work, right? For 32.
No, you'd be at 31. A relocation.
Oh, right. My bad.
So if I'm a prospective owner, and I want to put the money up, I'll go put the money up and go buy Minnesota and move them. Like I said, Mike Patton says about Nashville. If I'm an investor in Nashville, don't try to get an expansion team. You won't get it. You won't get the expansion team. But Glenn Taylor is looking to sell the team for right around $2 billion with the hopes of keeping that team in Minnesota. If you can find an ownership group to give Glenn Taylor 2.8 to $3 billion and say, get rid of that clause, I think he sells it. The team is out at the door, and you're headed to Bridgestone Arena to go play and share the building with the Predators at that point.
Okay. That sounds fair. Hey, final question. And it was an article on Sportico.com about NBA minority stake sales may expand as Arctos seeks to join Dalal as approved investors.
Mm-hmm.
What's your thoughts on, a lot of people don't have that liquid, the assets to go and drop down $2.5 billion on a team and have to deal with a facility unless they have a group and everything else like that. I think within that article, it was discussing the ability to be a minority owner, but to be it across multiple organizations. Is that a conflict of interest?
I think so. I mean, it's like, to me, having multiple owners of different teams is like being a fantasy football owner, being a co-owner of 4 teams in your 12-team league. You're going to win something out of it. The question is, will you go in cahoots with one of your other teams that's going to miss the playoffs and start loading up on players? No, I don't. I think that I get the idea of trying to get more minority owners in this. I don't like it doing it this way. Ted, can you imagine somebody owning the Lakers and the Nets at the same time?
No, not at all.
Can you imagine somebody owning the entire Southeast Division? Can you imagine having ownership stake in the entire Southeast Division, for example?
I couldn't.
I get it. Like I said, we're trying to get new owners. We're trying to get more into it. I think honestly, what it needs to be done is, listen, you might have to drop that entry fee down. $2.5 billion is a lot of money. All right. I mean, we saw what some teams got it, but it's just that, how can you make a return on your investment when you have multiple teams? Because what happens if you're in a situation that team is bleeding money, for example?
Right.
Not every team is super successful on the money end. So I don't know if I want to be buying too many sinking ships. This is not like the stock market.
Mike has said, don't let him win the lottery. He's cutting up with ownership in Nashville, but that way it's an awful model.
I agree. I don't like owning different teams. Listen, if I'm gonna be an owner of one team, my focus is on the team I own.
Well, you know what I kind of think of? I think of the Steve Cohen model, where in 2011 he purchased a small percentage of the Mets, maybe 4 to 6%, and then that number grew to 8. And he's a current owner almost 9 years later, but
I'm okay with that.
That small percentage, he's been interviewed. He said, "Hey, I had no decision-making ability. I had a box seat. That's about it."
Yeah, it's the Jay-Z rule. That's what it is. You get 4% of the team, and you got courtside seats and free parking, and you get the amenities of not having to stand in line at the concession stands.
Right.
All right. You get to pick your own seat in the building. I mean, it is what it is. All right. You pay $30 billion, and that's what you get. $30 million, that's what you get.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, but it's just conflict of interest in so many different ways. It's already crazy enough when you have owners owning multiple professional teams over multiple sports. Because as an owner, can you really give your full attention to one sport when you're owning multiple teams in multiple areas?
I find it highly unlikely.
I mean, look at the Kroenkes out. They own what?
Right.
They own the Rams. They own the Nuggets, and they also own Arsenal.
Right.
And you got to think all three of those teams, when it comes to spending, is completely different. Arsenal there's no salary cap in the English Premier League. All right. The NFL is the NFL, and then the NBA is NBA. But like owning multiple teams, I feel like it's just doing too much.
That's true. Hey, Danny, thanks for stopping by. We kept it to under 20 minutes. Tell us the best way to find you on the internet.
Listen, follow me on Twitter at Danny, DANNY 3 Thompson on Twitter. Follow the show, which is Beyond the Buzzer, Monday and Thursday nights on Zingo TV, as well as Facebook Live, YouTube, and my Hornets post-game show every single night after the Hornets game, probably about an hour after each game ends, on Haps TV, as you would see through the Haps app, as well as Facebook Live, as well as YouTube. And check out my written work over at the 3pointconversion.com, covering the Charlotte Hornets and a few other things on the sports side of things. Mike's over there as well too, so big shout outs to Mike and the entire crew over there at 3 Point. So,
big shout out to Raphael.
Yeah, I don't want to give his government out there, because every time I use his government name on any type of program,
really?
I get the crazy look when I say the government name. But Mr. Controversy in the building.
Okay. So now I know. Now I know. It's just when he calls my phone, he doesn't say this is Mr. Controversy. He gives me his government name. Like, oh, okay, this is who you are.
Exactly. We have a running joke about the government name. So, but no, check him out.
Okay. All right.
And but like I said, Ted, as always, when the back signal comes, I'm always on the line. So
definitely, man. I appreciate you, and you got a lovely family, lovely daughter. All the best, and I guess I'll talk to you tomorrow.
I mean, we got plenty of stuff to talk about because as long as these NBA games get canceled, I don't know what to say about this point. So,
hey, last what's the name? Honorable mention to Big Mike for being here, and I don't know about you, but I do check out the Titans. Well, when they were playing his pregame and postgame show, but. I mean, Mike, that's not a slight. I'm a Jets fan, so hey, you got to have a little bit for me. But yeah, it's all good. Hey, I just want to let you know I really do enjoy Haps. Thank you for introducing me to Haps, Peter and Mark, and I think
Pablo,
and I think gentleman who was on last night, Dave Newman.
Okay.
Was on last night. These guys do a bang up job. I know it's easy because you got a lot of people that are complaining. Oh, this doesn't work. Oh, that doesn't work. But there's a lot that has to happen.
Exactly.
So, but other than that, he's like Mike says. I got a special guest this Thursday to talk AFC South football. So I guess is that you, Danny?
No, that's not me. That's on Titan. You guys think you should said Titans got nothing else to do? He's got a guest to talk about AFC football on Thursday. So
he's gonna have a guest every week until preseason.
I mean, the way the Titan season is going, he's gonna need like 47 guests. So Ted, I think me and you might have to jump on one of those shows.
Oh man,
let me stop. Mike's my dog. That's my guy.
All right, man. I'll talk to you later.
All right, Ted. It's a pleasure. Always.
All right. And this is Late Night Parents. Ways to follow the show, latenightparents.com. And we're out.